Everyone, I'm Snehashish, and in this video, I'm going to answer a question that one of my friend asked me uh, previously, just a few days back. He asked me that, he's also a WordPress developer, and he asked me that when should a WordPress user opt for code-based solution, and when should they use plugin? So basically, majority of WordPress users are using plugins for most of their tasks, but there is common thread that using much plugins, like if you use too many plugins, then it will make your website slow. Uh, but what if all of my plugins are necessary and I'm not using them for just doing some stuff that is not required? I want to use a plugin which is necessary for my website. And there is also a possibility of using a code-based way to perform the same task. So why should I choose a plugin, or why should I opt for a code-based way? And when should I do it? So that was the question, and I thought that I should share it with you all guys, because this is a question for many of WordPress users. So here I'm just sharing my thoughts and what I think it could be, and my experience completely. So you see, when we are using a plugin, we are doing we are doing some specific task to our website, and we can also do that same thing using a code. So if a WordPress user saying that I don't know code, so they should opt for plugins, and that is the most common answer of this question, that if you don't know coding, then you should go for plugin. But I think it shouldn't be the way. If you don't know coding, even though you if you don't know coding, even though you should go for coding if the task is not that much big. Like if you want to do a small task, you can just search. Like you are a website administrative and you are maybe writing blogs or maybe doing some other stuffs, then you must know, the first thing you must know is how to search and how to find the problem, how to get the solution of that. So if you search that, let's take an example first. Let's see. I in my website I have let's say core web vital issue, and the issue is mainly for LCP, largest contentful paint. And to fix this, we have multiple optimization plugins that many of WordPress users uses. And let's say I only have the LCP issue, which is the biggest issue of my website, and rest of the other metrics are fine completely. They are not making that much trouble for my website, and I only want to fix the LCP of my website. Now, if I now I have two options. I can opt for a plugin. I can use a plugin to solve this problem. And let's say because before this I didn't use any plugin and I have not coded anything yet. And just after creating my website, I got the LCP issue, and I don't have any optimization plugin at all, and I got the problem. Now I should search first that I have the LCP issue for my website, and then I should see what other users have faced, because WordPress has its own forum, and most of the cases I will get a code snippet for that to solve this problem. And in majority cases, the codes are not that huge. It is just one or two line codes. It is just calling a function, and the function will do its task. Then why should I go for a plugin? And when should I use it? So see, if I have this only one problem, that is the LCP problem of my website, then there is always two possibility. One is using the plugin and one is using the code. But now think from a plugins developer perspective. If I'm making a plugin, I will not make a plugin for just to fix the LCP issue. I will do it to fix much more difficult problems like improving the page speeds or making the or minifying the CSS and JavaScript and so on. Although we will come back to that point as well. But uh, the thing is, a plugin contains like thousand or at least 100 different features, and I only want to use one of them. So in that case, it is not feasible for a developer or a administrator, a WordPress administrator, to use a plugin because you see, even though I'm not using the 100 feature, I'm using the only one feature. Even though the plugin is still in my server, and whenever I will add more, let's say images and all, it will just make my server heavy. And when time goes after time, that it will make my server heavy, and maybe it can load in my front end as well. So basically the point is it makes my server heavy, and it is taking the server the free space of my server, which is it should not be, it should not take that space. So that is one point. Second, to to do, let's say one, I'm doing more than one task, like let's say I'm also facing issue of multiple critical CSS, and they are just blocking the rendering, and the solution maybe is just to minify them. Now here comes another problem. Basically, when I am using the plugin, it will do it has an option to just minify the CSS and JavaScript. Now let's say if I'm using a theme, obviously, yeah, if I'm using a WordPress website, I have a theme. Now WordPress functions differently than a common normal websites. WordPress has its own theme, and the theme has their own rules and regulations, like how to render the page, how they will serve the files and all. And the plugin doesn't know anything about that. It knows that I have a task, I have to minify the CSS and I have to minify the JS file. And but the theme knows which file it should contain as minified version, and which file they shouldn't minify. So they also provide a option to minify the critical CSS, because they know that if we minify this much amount of CSS and this much amount of JavaScript, then the site will work perfectly. But the plugin doesn't know this. The plugin knows that this much amount of CSS is making the main trouble, and I have to minify all this. So they don't think about the after effect of minifying all the CSS. The after effect is basically breaking my website's UI, and the optimization plugins does that. So there is two main reason why you should not use plugin for each and every task. Number one is when you are not using 100 feature, let's say you should use at least 70 to 75 percent of features that the plugin is providing you. And when I'm saying you should use, that means it is your necessary, not that okay, I'm downloading a I've downloaded a plugin, I have to use the 75% of its feature. No, if it is required, if you have to use the 75%, or let's say it is a random number, it is not like that I have calculated it, but I'm taking an assumption that if you have to use the 75% of the feature of that plugin, then you should go for a plugin. If you don't need that, then you should go for a code based way, because that is better, that is more optimized way to solve the problem. Because you see, you just write a one line code and that can solve the problem, and it will not increase your server load and all. So it's better, and it's more effective. So it is not about if you know coding or not, it is about what's your problem is. So search about your problem. Let's say it is an LCP issue, or maybe it is another issue. Let's say you want to add custom font. Maybe you want to add custom theme or as well. For these things, you don't need a plugin, first of all. You can add a custom font as well. You just have to go change some files. You just need to add the fonts in your server, and you just need to call them in your index file. So you see, to do this, the plugin will take much more time, and they will just make your website heavy. So if you are using, let's say, if you want to use custom font, then you have, and you are using a plugin, then you can, there is two option. You can use the themes custom font, and you can load them globally, and you can load them locally. There is two option. Now to load locally the custom font, you can use plugin, and you can use again the code based way. And the code based way is obviously the better option, because again, the same issue. The plugin will make the server heavier, and the code-based way will not make the server that much heavier. So your page will be load faster. Your page will load even faster, and it will not break your website. So that's my answer of the question, that when you should use a plugin, when you should opt for a code-based way. So if you know coding pretty well, you should go for code-based way. You should not use the plugin. If you don't know coding, first search your problem, get the solution, find out the solution, that what other users have faced and how they overcome that. If your problem does not contain any code based solution, although this is not that much possible, it should have a code based solution. And if it is not that much difficult, if it is not that much complex to do, to implement, then use the code based way, because it is all obviously, and like all the time, it is more feasible and more effective than using a plugin. So use that. So that is my answer of the question. So thank you for listening to me. Bye.